It was a wet July evening in Bengaluru 2021. The rainwater gathered in cracked pavements, filling the air with the scent of mud, diesel, and jasmine from roadside vendors. In a narrow apartment in Banashankari, 28-year-old Aarohi Kulkarni stood in her kitchen, one hand pressed against her bruised ribs, while the pressure cooker hissed anxiously behind her. Her husband, Raghav, had left for the night after yet another fit of rage, another argument over something trivial, another shattered plate. Another apology that would come tomorrow wrapped in flowers and lies. Once a Bharatanatyam student, Aarohi had danced with grace, but marriage had reduced her to a creature of flinches and half-breaths. She stopped dancing, singing, meeting friends, and laughing freely. Abuse rarely begins with blows, it starts with permission. By the third year of marriage, she no longer recognized herself in mirrors. She looked like a woman perpetually waiting for thunder. One afternoon in August, while visiting a gynecologist for stress-induced hormonal issues, the doctor noticed the bruises beneath Aarohi's sleeve. Without drama, she wrote down an address on the back of a prescription and slid it across the table. "Try this," she said, "even if you attend only once." The paper read, Sanchalan Center for Dance and Movement Psychotherapy, Indiranagar. Saturdays, 4 p.m., Trauma Recovery Group. Aarohi almost threw the slip away 3 times, but pain, when ripe enough, makes cowards brave. The studio was hidden above an old bookstore surrounded by bougainvillea and weathered blue shutters. Inside, teakwood floors, white curtains, brass bells by the windows, and the faint scent of sandalwood welcomed her. No mirrors. That unsettled her more than mirrors would have. The therapist, Dr. Sukanya Rao, dressed simply in loose cotton, exuded an unnerving calm. She didn't ask Aarohi to explain her trauma. Instead, she said, "Sit where your body feels safest." It was the first time in years anyone had asked Aarohi what her body felt. The group had 6 women, each carrying unnamed griefs. Nobody spoke much that first day. Sukanya began with breathwork, grounding, and simple stretches. Then she asked everyone to walk through the room as if carrying the weather of your heart. Aarohi hated the instruction. It sounded absurd, but as she began moving, something cracked. Her steps were apologetic, shrinking bird-like. Sukanya said quietly, "Notice how you make yourself smaller." That sentence lodged in Aarohi's ribs harder than any fist ever had. Week after week, she returned, learning where fear lived in her body, how trauma nested in her jaw, shoulders, and hips. One day, Sukanya placed drums in the center of the room and said, "Today, your body tells the story your mouth has hidden." Aarohi began with trembling wrists, then stamping feet, sudden violent turns, and arms slashing the air like blades. She spun, stumbled, struck the floor, and screamed so loudly the room froze. Then she collapsed, sobbing, not elegantly, just the ugly animal sobbing of a soul coughing up poison. No one rushed to fix her. They simply sat around her like ancient sentinels. Healing, she learned, was not always gentle. Months passed. Her posture changed first, then her voice, then her eyes. She started wearing colors again, mustard, maroon, peacock blue. She cut her hair short and resumed teaching dance classes in the evenings. The bruises at home didn't stop immediately, but something else did, her compliance. When Raghav raised his hand one winter night, she caught his wrist mid-air. "You don't get to touch me like that again," she said, her voice low and steady. 2 months later, with help from Sukanya, legal aid, and the women from her group, Aarohi left. The divorce was ugly, but she ignored the whispers of her relatives with the serenity of a woman who had survived much worse than gossip. By March 2023, she had rented a tiny flat in Jayanagar, walls painted pale yellow, balcony full of tulsi and marigolds, music always humming. She worked part-time at Sanchalan Center, eventually training under Sukanya in trauma-informed movement facilitation. Years later, when new clients asked if dance therapy helped, Aarohi simply smiled and said, "My body was once a prison built by fear. Movement taught me where the door was, and on certain monsoon evenings, when rain tapped against the studio windows, she would guide trembling women through breath and rhythm, watching broken spines slowly remember they were made to bend, never to bow forever."